The ship consensus floated through space like a silver needle. Inside the metal walls, Vexera looked at the screen showing the planet below. Her 6 arms moved quickly over the control panels. Her purple skin glowed softly in the blue light. Of the ship's bridge, run the tests again, she told her crew. Something this close to the danger zone needs careful checking. The planet spun slowly beneath them. Its surface was brown and red with angry clouds swirling around it. Lightning flashed through the thick air. Mountains shot fire and smoke into the sky. The whole world looked like it was screaming. Kethmer, the ship's pilot, shook his gray head. His people came from ice worlds where everything was quiet and cold. This place makes me sick just looking at it, he said. His voice sounded worried. Young. Zilpak worked at the science station. Her green fingers danced over the buttons. Numbers filled her screen. Each number told a story of danger and death. The air is poison, she said, full of chemicals that would burn our lungs. The gravity is almost twice what most of us can handle. The ground shakes all the time from the fire mountains. Vexera nodded. She had seen many worlds in her long life. Some were beautiful gardens where any species could live happily. Others were cold rocks where nothing grew. But this world was different. This world seemed angry. What about the radiation? She asked. Silpax's screen flashed red. It's very bad. Any ship that landed there would need heavy shields. Anyone who stepped outside would die in hours, maybe less. The ship's computer made soft beeping sounds as it recorded everything. Each measurement went into the great database that all species use to find new homes. Worlds got numbers that told travelers if they were safe or dangerous. Temperature. Vexera continued her checklist. Changes too fast, Kethmer answered. Hot enough to melt metal during the day. It's cold enough to freeze water at night. No middle ground. Through the big window, they could see the planet's surface more clearly now. Rivers of melted rock flowed down the sides of mountains. The oceans looked dark and angry. Storms larger than some moons spun across the land. The water is acid, Zilpak added, reading from her instruments. It would eat through our ship's hull in days. Nothing could drink it and live. Exthera made notes on her tablet. Each word would become part of the official report. Other ships would read these words and know to stay away. The planet would get a red mark in the database. A warning to all travelers. Soil quality? She asked. Poor, came the answer, full of heavy metals and toxic dust. Even if something could grow there, the ground would poison it. The crew worked. In silence for several minutes, they measured wind speeds that could knock down buildings. They found magnetic fields that would scramble any electronics. They discovered that the planet's orbit was wrong, taking it too close to its sun sometimes, and too far away other times. This is one of the worst worlds I have ever seen, Vexera said finally. I cannot imagine any form of life surviving here for even a day. The computer finished its calculations. A number appeared on the main screen. Habitability Index 0. The lowest possible score. A world marked for death. Should we do a surface scan? Asked Zilpak. She was young and still curious about dangerous things. No point, Vexera replied. Our readings are clear. This planet cannot support life. We would only waste time and risk our safety. But Clichter, the junior sensor operator, was staring at his small screen with confusion. His insect-like eyes moved back and forth over the display. Ma'am, he said quietly, I am seeing some strange shapes on the surface. Exthera walked over to look. The screen showed fuzzy images of the planet's surface, taken through the thick clouds. There were some straight lines and geometric patterns near one of the smaller continents. Natural crystal formations, she said after studying the images. The extreme heat and pressure create unusual rock shapes. I have seen similar things on other hostile worlds. Clichter nodded but kept looking at the screen. Something about the patterns bothered him. They looked too organized, too purposeful. But he was young and inexperienced. If the senior scientist said they were natural, he would not argue. Final report, Bexathora announced. Planet designation Kepler 442. C. Habitability Index 0. Marked as completely unlivable. Recommend immediate quarantine status. No further investigation needed. The crew began shutting down their scanning equipment. They had done their job. Another world had been cataloged and marked safe or dangerous for the millions of species that traveled between the stars. "Prepare for hyperspace jump," Kethmer called out. "Next destination is the Rigel system." The ship's engines began to hum with power. Stars appeared on the navigation screen showing their route to safer, more pleasant worlds where people could actually live. As the consensus prepared to leave, Clichter took one last look at his sensor readings. Those straight lines on the surface still troubled him. But the ship was already turning away from the angry planet. Soon they would jump to hyperspace and forget about this terrible world forever. The database updated automatically. Somewhere, in the great library of space, a new entry appeared. Kepler 4 to see. Unlivable. Do not approach. The ship vanished in a flash of light, leaving the hostile planet alone with its storms and fire mountains and poisonous air. Just another dead world in a galaxy full of dead worlds. But if Clichter had looked longer at those geometric patterns, he might have noticed something important. The straight lines were not random crystal formations. They looked more like roads. And roads meant only one thing in the entire galaxy. Someone was building something down there. 3 months had passed since the consensus marked the angry planet as dead. The galaxy had moved on to other things. Trade ships carried goods between the safe worlds. Explorers searched for new homes among the stars. Life continued as it always. Had Captain Zerlin guided her cargo ship through the empty space near Kepler 4 to see? She was not supposed to be here. Her route should have taken her straight to the Vega colonies, with a hold full of medical supplies. But space had other plans. Loud bang echoed through her ship. Red lights flashed on her control panel. The engine made sick, grinding noises that no captain ever wanted to hear. "Computer report," she said, trying to stay calm. "Main engine failure, hyperdrive offline, repair time estimated at 6 hours minimum." Zerlin cursed in 3 different languages. Her blue skin turned darker with worry. The Vega colonies needed those medical supplies soon. People were sick and waiting for her cargo. She looked at the navigation screen. The nearest safe harbor was 2 days away with normal engines. But there was another option, at the dead planet. Below had gravity and atmosphere. She could land, make repairs, and be on her way quickly. "Computer, show me the planetary data for Kepler 4 to see." The screen filled with warnings. Red text everywhere. Habitability index 0, toxic atmosphere, deadly radiation, extreme weather. The words practically screamed danger. But Zerlin had been flying cargo ships for 20 years. She had landed on asteroid mines and ice worlds and desert planets. Where the sand could strip paint from metal, she knew how to handle difficult places. "Scan for a safe landing zone," she ordered. The computer found a flat area near some mountains. The readings were bad, but not instantly deadly. Her ship had good shields and air recycling systems. She could survive a few hours on the surface, as her ship dropped through the thick clouds. Zerlin saw why the planet had been marked as unlivable. Lightning split the sky in every direction. Wind tried to push her ship sideways. Was more acid than water hit her windows. Ground below glowed red from lava flows. "This place is definitely trying to kill me," she muttered. But then something caught her eye. Down near the base of the mountains, there were lights, not the orange glow of lava or the white flash of lightning. These were steady, artificial lights. Arranged in patterns, Zerlin adjusted her scanners and looked more carefully. The lights formed rectangles and straight lines. They looked like buildings, but that was impossible. Nothing could live on this nightmare world. "Computer, scan for life signs." Multiple life forms detected. Organized structures present. Technology signatures identified. Zerlin stared at the screen in disbelief. The computer had to be wrong. But as her ship got closer to the surface, she could see more details. There were definitely buildings down there. Large metal structures that looked like they belonged on any civilized world. She set her ship down on a flat area about 2 kilometers from the lights. Through her windows, she could see the hostile environment clearly. Volcanic ash fell like gray snow. The air shimmered with heat and toxic gases. Lightning struck the ground every few seconds. But there in the middle of all this death and danger, was a settlement. It was clearly active. Before she could decide what to do, her ship's communication system came alive. Unknown vessel, this is new resilience. Base, welcome to Kepler-4 for to see. Please identify yourself and state your business. The voice spoke perfect galactic standard. It sounded calm and friendly, like someone welcoming visitors to a pleasant garden. World, not someone living on a planet that should have killed them instantly. This is Captain Zarelin of the merchant vessel Lucky Strike, she replied. I have engine problems and need to make repairs. I did not know anyone lived here. No. Problem, Captain. We get the occasional visitor. Would you like assistance with your repairs? Zarelin looked out at the hellish landscape around her ship. Acid rain was already starting to eat small holes in her landing gear. The radiation counter on her dashboard was clicking faster than normal. How are you people still alive? Asked. There was laughter in the response. Actual laughter. It takes some getting used to, but it is not as bad as it looks. Give us 10 minutes to send out a transport. The weather's pretty mild today. Mild? Zarelin watched a lightning bolt hit a rock formation and turn it into glowing fragments. This was what these people called mild weather. True to their word, a vehicle appeared 10 minutes later. It rolled across the rough ground on wide treads, pushing through the acid rain and toxic wind like they were nothing. The machine stopped. Near her ship, and a door opened. A figure in a full environmental suit stepped out and walked toward her landing ramp. Through her ship's external speakers, she heard knocking. Zara single quotes Lynn put on her own protective gear and opened the door. The figure outside was roughly humanoid, but wearing a suit she had never seen before. It was heavy and bulky, but moved with surprising ease and the crushing gravity. Captain Zarelin. I am Dr. Alina Vasquez, Settlement Coordinator for New Resilience. Sorry about the formal introduction, but the atmosphere out here is a bit unfriendly to most species. Most species? Zarelin asked. What species are you that can live in this environment? Dr. Vasquez removed her helmet, revealing a face that Zarelin had only seen in galactic databases. Round features, short hair, eyes that looked directly forward instead of to the sides. The species that most other races considered strange and unpredictable. We are humans, Dr. Vasquez said with a smile, and we love a good challenge. Zarelin stared in amazement. The galaxy for doing impossible things? They were the species that turned dangerous asteroids into profitable mines. They were the ones who built space stations in the middle of solar storms. But this was beyond anything she had heard of. Long have you been here? She managed to ask. 8 years now. Started with just 50 people and a few basic shelters. Now we have over 3,000 residents and 6 major settlements across the planet. But the radiation, the gravity, the toxic air. Dr. Vasquez shrugged. Every world has its challenges. This one just has more than most. Come on, let us get your ship into our repair bay. You can see how we have made this place work for us. As they drove toward the settlement, Zarelin saw wonders that defied everything she knew about planetary. Habitability. Humans in heavy suits were working in the open air, building new structures. Children played in enclosed courtyards, laughing and running in gravity that would crush most alien bones. The settlement had turned the planet's deadliest. Features into advantages. Volcanic vents powered massive generators. The acid rain was collected and processed into useful chemicals. Even the crushing gravity was being used to power industrial equipment. How did you know to come here? Zarelin asked, as they passed a group of humans planting crops in a pressurized greenhouse. We read the Galactic Survey report, Dr. Vasquez replied. When we saw that it was marked as completely unlivable, we knew it was perfect for us. Zarelin shook her head in wonder. Only humans would see a planet marked for death and call it perfect. The repair bay was unlike anything Zarelin had ever seen. It was built inside a natural cave system that the humans had expanded and reinforced. The walls were lined with metal panels that hummed with energy. Bright lights hung from the ceiling, making the space feel warm and safe despite the chaos outside. Her ship looked small inside the massive space. Human workers in lighter suits moved around it with confidence. They carried tools that looked familiar, but somehow different. Everything was built heavier and stronger than normal galactic standard equipment. "Your hyperdrive has a burned coupling," said Marcus, the chief engineer. He was a large man with grease on his hands and a smile on his face. "Easy fix."
"We have
"The parts you need? You have hyperdrive parts on this world?" Zarellan asked in surprise. "We make most of our own equipment now," Dr. Vasquez explained. "Had to learn quickly when supply ships stopped coming. The planet provides everything we need, if you know how to ask nicely." "I'd have liked." Zarellan watched the repair work begin. Moved with purpose and skill. But what amazed her most was how they talked. They joked and laughed while working in an environment that should have terrified them. One worker was humming a tune while welding near her ship's engine. Dr. Vasquez Zarellan said carefully, "I need to understand something. My species requires special suits to work in gravity this strong. Most of my people would be crushed within minutes. How do you function so normally?" Dr. Vasquez gestured for Zarellan to follow her. They walked through a tunnel that led deeper into the settlement. The walls were covered with pictures and charts showing the development of new resilience over 8 years. "When we first arrived, it was difficult," Dr. Vasquez admitted. "The gravity was hard on our bodies. The air made us sick even with filters. The radiation gave us headaches, but humans are stubborn. We adapt." They entered a large room filled with exercise equipment. Humans of all ages were working out, but the machines looked incredibly heavy. Children who could not have been more than 10 years old were lifting weights that would challenge adult aliens. "Our bones grew stronger," Dr. Vasquez continued. "Our muscles adapted to the gravity. Our lungs learned to process the filtered air more efficiently. The children born here are even stronger than we are." A young girl ran past them, carrying a metal beam that must have weighed 50 kilograms. She was laughing as she played with her friends. To her, this crushing gravity was normal. It was home. "But the radiation," Zarellan protested. "The toxic atmosphere. The acid rain." "Problems to solve," Dr. Vasquez said simply. "Follow me." They took an elevator up through the mountain. When the doors opened, Zarellan stepped into an observation deck with windows that looked out over the entire settlement. What she saw made her mind struggle to process the information. The humans had not just survived on this hostile world, they had made it work for them. Massive towers reached toward the stormy sky, covered in devices that captured lightning and turned it into power. The acid rain was collected in huge tanks and processed through chemical plants that turned poison into useful materials. "The volcanic activity gives us unlimited geothermal energy," Dr. Vasquez explained. "The high gravity makes our manufacturing processes more efficient. The toxic atmosphere keeps other species away, so we have room to work without interference." Saw gardens under protective domes where humans grew food in the mineral-rich volcanic soil. The plants looked healthier and stronger than anything she had seen on garden worlds. Crushing gravity that would kill most species was making everything grow better. "The radiation was our biggest challenge," Dr. Vasquez admitted. "But we developed new shielding techniques. The materials we mine from this planet are perfect for blocking harmful energy. We actually export radiation shields now to other colonies." "You export materials from here?" "Of course. The extreme conditions create unique alloys and crystals that cannot be made anywhere else. The galaxy pays premium prices for materials forged in this environment." They walked past laboratories where humans in light clothing worked on complex projects. The radiation levels that would sterilize most species were just another workplace hazard that these people had learned to manage. "We have developed new medical treatments here too," Dr. Vasquez said proudly. "The challenges of living in this environment pushed our doctors to find better ways to heal injuries and fight disease. Several of our discoveries are being used throughout the galaxy now." Zarellan saw children playing in a school courtyard. They were jumping higher and running faster than should have been possible in this gravity. Their laughter echoed off the protective walls as they played games that would have been impossible on any other world. "They have never known anything. But this place," Dr. Vasquez said, watching the children. "To them, other worlds seem weak and boring. They cannot imagine living somewhere without constant storms and challenges." A teacher called the children inside as the weather outside grew worse. Lightning began striking more frequently, and the acid rain started falling harder. But the children moved calmly, like this was just another normal day. We get visitors sometimes, Dr. Vasquez continued. Ships with engine problems like yours? Scientists who want to study our techniques? Traders looking for our unique materials? They all ask the same question you did. How do we survive here? And what do you tell them? Dr. Vasquez smiled. We tell them we are not surviving, we are living. There is a big difference. They returned to the repair bay, where Marcus was finishing work on Zerlin's ship. The hyperdrive was running smoothly again, better than it had in months. The human engineer had not just fixed the problem, but improved the entire system. Your ship is ready, Captain, Marcus announced. I took the liberty of upgrading your radiation. Shielding too. The materials we use will last longer than standard equipment. Zerlin looked around the bustling repair bay one more time. Humans worked with efficiency and joy in conditions that most species would consider a nightmare. They had turned a world marked for death into a thriving home. Dr. Vasquez, she said slowly, why did you really come here? The galaxy has thousands of safer worlds where humans could live easily. Dr. Vasquez considered the question carefully. Because safe worlds make soft people, she said finally. This world makes us stronger. Every day is a challenge that we meet together. Every problem we solve makes us better. Easy worlds are for species that want easy lives. Humans want to build something amazing. Zerlin prepared to leave. She realized she was witnessing something that would change how the galaxy thought about habitability. These humans had not just adapted to an impossible world, they had made it better than possible worlds. Zerlin could not stop thinking about what she had seen on Kepler 4 to see. During her 3-day journey to the Vega colonies, her mind kept returning to the images of human children playing in crushing gravity and workers laughing while lightning struck around them. When she delivered her medical supplies, she told the story to anyone who would listen. Most people thought she was making it up. Few believed her, but said she must have been mistaken about the planet's identity. No one could. Except that humans were thriving on a world marked as completely unlivable. But Zerlin had proof. The radiation shielding that Marcus had installed on her ship was unlike anything in the galactic markets. When she showed it to engineers at the Vega spaceport, they could not understand how it worked so well. Where did you get this? Chief Engineer Moulter, examining the strange metal with his scanner. These readings are impossible. This material blocks 98% of harmful radiation, but weighs half as much as standard shielding. I told you, Zerlin said. The humans on Kepler 4 to see made it from materials they mine on their planet. Moultar's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. Kepler 4 to see is marked as uninhabitable. The galactic database says it has a habitability index of 0. The database is wrong. Word of Zerlin's story spread through the trade networks. Ship captains told other captains. Engineers talked to scientists. Within 2 weeks, the news had reached the Galactic Habitability Council on Proxima Station. Vexera was in her laboratory when the urgent message arrived. She read Zerlin's report 3 times before calling an emergency meeting. The senior members of the council gathered in the Great Hall where decisions about planetary classification were made. This is clearly a mistake, announced Counselor Lextron, his scaled face showing disgust. Some merchant captain had engine problems and got confused about which planet she visited. Happens all the time in outer systems. But Vexera was not so sure. She remembered young Clichter pointing out strange geometric patterns on the surface. Patterns that she had dismissed as natural crystal formations. We should investigate, she said carefully. If there is even a small chance that our classification was wrong, we need to know. Investigate a dead world because of one trader's wild story, Dexron laughed. We have more important work to do. But other council members were curious. Dr. Yilmoth, from the Rigel Collective, had heard rumors from her own traders about strange new materials appearing in the markets. Materials that seemed to come from unknown sources? I propose we send a joint expedition, Dr. Yilmoth said. Representatives from multiple species to verify the situation. If humans are indeed living on Kepler 4 to see, we need to understand how. Vote was close, but the expedition was approved. 12 species agreed to send observers. The Habitability Council would send their best survey ship. If humans were really living on the impossible world, the galaxy needed to know. 3 weeks. Later, the survey ship Galactic Unity approached Kepler-4 to see. The crew was much larger than usual. Scientists from a dozen different worlds worked together, each bringing their own instruments and expertise. Vexthera stood on the bridge as they dropped out of hyperspace. The planet looked exactly as it had 3 months ago. Angry storms covered the surface. Lightning split the sky. Volcanic activity painted the continents red and orange. "Scan for artificial structures," she ordered. The results came back immediately. The planet was covered with them. Cities, industrial complexes, transportation, networks, and communication arrays dotted the hostile landscape. The readings showed a thriving technological civilization where none should exist. "Life signs?" Vexthera asked, though she already knew the answer.
"Oh no."
"Over 50,000 intelligent beings," reported the scanner officer, "all showing human biological signatures." The bridge fell silent. 50,000 humans living on a world that should have killed them all within hours. It was beyond impossible. It challenged everything the galaxy knew about planetary habitability. "Incoming transmission," announced the communications officer. The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of Dr. Elena Vasquez. She looked older than when Zerlin had met her, but her smile was just as warm. "Welcome to New Resilience," she said. "I am Dr. Vasquez, Planetary Coordinator. We have been expecting you." "Expecting us?" Vexthera managed to say. "Captain Zerlin told us that word of our settlement was spreading. We figured someone from the Habitability Council would come to investigate eventually. Would you like to come down for a tour?" The expedition members looked at each other in amazement. The humans were not just surviving on this nightmare world. They were confident enough to invite visitors. Dr. Yilmuth stepped forward. "Dr. Vasquez, our scans show this planet has extreme radiation levels, toxic atmosphere, and crushing gravity. How are your people not dead?" Dr. Vasquez laughed. "The same way your people survive on ice worlds that would freeze us solid or desert. Planets that would cook our skin off? We adapted. Every species finds their own way to live in the conditions that suit them. But this world was classified as uninhabitable for all known forms of life," Vexthera protested. "All known forms, yes," Dr. Vasquez agreed. "But you had never tested it with humans before. We tend to be stubborn about giving up." The expedition spent 3 days on the planet's surface. They visited all 6 major settlements. They saw humans mining rare metals from volcanic vents. They watched children play sports that would be impossible in normal gravity. They toured laboratories where new technologies were being developed using the planet's unique properties. Each day brought new surprises. The humans had not just adapted to the hostile environment, they had turned every deadly feature into an advantage. The crushing gravity powered their industrial machines. The toxic atmosphere provided raw materials for chemical production. The radiation that would kill most species was being used to create new forms of energy. "This changes everything," Dr. Yilmuth said on their last day. "Humans can live here. We need to completely rethink our habitability standards." Vexthera nodded. She was already planning the report that would shake the foundations of galactic science. The neat categories that divided livable worlds from dead ones no longer made sense. But Counselor Thexron was worried about more than science. If humans can settle worlds that other species cannot even visit, what does that mean for galactic colonization? They could claim entire systems that we consider worthless. "Maybe that is not a bad thing," suggested Dr. Yilmuth. "These humans are developing technologies that could benefit everyone. Their radiation shielding, their gravity manipulation systems, their atmospheric processors. All of it could help other species expand into new environments." Is the expedition prepared to leave? Dr. Vasquez made an offer that would change the galaxy forever. "We would like to propose a partnership." She said, "Humans will settle and develop the worlds that other species consider impossible. In return, we will share the technologies and materials we develop. Everyone benefits." The expedition members looked at each other. It was a logical proposal, but it challenged thousands of years of established thinking about planetary habitation. "We'll need to discuss this with our governments," Vexthera said carefully. Of course, Dr. Vasquez replied, but while you are discussing, we will be expanding. There are 17 more worlds in nearby systems that your databases mark as unlivable. We are planning to visit them next month. The survey ship left Kepler 442c with more questions than answers. The galaxy was about to discover that humans did not just adapt to impossible conditions, they sought them out.